Bruce Kornfeld, Mark Christie. I'm going to do some presenting on background on StorMagic, because not everyone is familiar with us. Some of you are. I'll do a quick StorMagic background, a very quick on our currently shipping products. That's the first 9 slides. Give you an opportunity to understand us, ask questions about our customers, where we focus, product, and then we're announcing a new product on June 11th. And it is a full stack HCI solution, including a new hypervisor for the market that our customers and partners have been screaming for months now due to the whole Broadcom, am I allowed to use the word fiasco? But the Broadcom churn, the Broadcom churn in the market, we got huge feedback from our customers that they're looking for VMware alternatives. We've taken a KVM-based hypervisor, bundled it with our hyperconverged storage that we've been shipping for more than a decade, and we're announcing a full stack HCI product on June 11th. So that's whatever number of days it is from now, 10 or 11 days. So since Technology Live was here, you're all in the room, we decided that it would be a good opportunity to get the news in front of you under embargo. And please, we want to get feedback. 90 minutes is a long time, really. So ask questions. Give us feedback. What do you want to know? Mark's going to do a demo as well.
You will see something real. Yeah.
And it's a live demo with actual product running in a lab somewhere in the UK, I believe.
Yes, correct.
So you'll be able to see the product live and ask all your questions. Does that sound fair? Anyone want to ask me any questions before I jump in? Okay. Is it okay if I speak English? Would you prefer Italian, French, German? English is okay?
Sounds
all right.
Great.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to try not to spend too much time on the upfront slides, but I do want to make sure everyone understands who we are so you get context here. But we're focused on the edge of the data center. So this is a fun slide basically saying the data center is no longer the center of data, meaning there's a lot going on outside the data center, outside the cloud. I'm confident that everyone in the room has written an article, a blog, a story, or something over the years about cloud computing. Everyone's doing it, we get it. But there's a lot of movement to starting to move workloads out to the edge where actual data is being created. So this whole notion of edge computing is very, very big, and that's where we're focused. Edge as well as SMB. So think of StorMagic. Our whole company is focused on small. We are very targeted. We're happy for other vendors, let's say, like VMware, since I already mentioned their name, to go data center and cloud. That's not our space. But when it comes to the edge and small sites, that's where we're architected. And we're designed for 100% uptime. And we have over 2,000 customers around the globe, and they're all running 2 servers, or 3, but usually 2, to run mission-critical applications. So a couple of quick backgrounds on us. Our vision is about solving the world's edge data problems. Like I just explained, we're very focused on mission-critical, 100% uptime. Our engineers that founded the company came from an enterprise storage background, which you'll see later is one of the hardest parts of a hyperconverged stack, getting that storage right. So you can process IOs confidently, mirror data, et cetera, et cetera.
Handle the failure scenarios at the edge.
There you go.
Saying about that.
Yes,
First to the go-to-market, because you will announce a new HCI full stack. Okay,
Yes.
so there is already a scale computer, some low customers of Nutanix, some low customers of SimpliVity, which is ramped up with HPE, which it means that the marketing and sales subsidiaries are quite strong. How do you will differentiate? Because there is already plenty of actors in this kind of market.
Exactly. So I will definitely answer those questions because we haven't gotten to the full stack product, but I'll give you the short answer, and I'll give you more later. But the short answer is we're designed for small and the lightweight. We're very lightweight. We only require 2 servers for a full, highly available solution. So customers save money on hardware. Instead of 3, they only need 2. And we are very low cost in terms of the software. And I don't want to steal the thunder of the product because I have it coming, but we're very well aware that there's other players in the market. You mentioned many of them, but they're all, except for one,
No,
they're all
it was the most visible. But
understood.
could be some others,
Right.
I'm sure.
Yes, but feel free to ask again when I get to the full stack product, but that's generally the answer. And we have a lot of customers asking for that product. Here's just a sample of some of our global brands. If you haven't heard of StorMagic, I'm sure there's a logo up there that you're familiar with. Sorry?
It's not small customers.
Exactly.
Nonetheless,
I know.
BP.
I get it, but I'm probably going to not pick University of Pittsburgh is a small one, right? There's a mix of small and big, but when we show a slide with logos, we prefer to use names that you might recognize. So it's usually the bigger customers, right? So when we say edge, we consider retail stores as part of edge. It's retail edge. They're small sites. So we do have a lot of large customers that use us in their remote edge sites.
What we call robo in France.
Robo, yeah, we have been calling it robo as well. You'll see, we still use the term robo. We still use the term robo as
I
well.
mean, when we say about large versus small, you can say Mondelez is big, but Mondelez has many small environments. So it's not a 20-node data center at the edge. It's when we say small.
If I
it's
want to
easy
follow up, it's I say, okay, you're in the retail, you're in the shop, you're in the small supermarket, great. How do you integrate with the data center when the people which have already an HCI as Nutanix or a VxRail or whatever?
Go ahead.
So we provide simple block storage with the GA product today. So any integration of going edge to center would be done at an application layer. Okay, so there are many tried and tested technologies like Veeam and others that enable that piece at a more granular layer. We focus ourselves on that high availability storage, those robust failure scenarios that those edge environments need, where a hurricane rolls through and the cluster goes up and down and up and down. That's where we excel. We do our piece very well, and we enable then, with SVSAN at least, the rest of it to happen around us with those other technologies involved as well to provide the solution stack.
The other thing I'll say to add on to Mark is that most of these customers, not all, are VMware. So if they're running VMware in the data center, they'll run VMware in the stores, and our SVSAN product, which is just the storage bit, works with VMware Hypervisor. That's today. Remember, we're talking about today's products. We're going to talk about future in 5 minutes. But so the message today is the customer IT infrastructure is used to VMware and tools, so they're very easy to manage us as well because we fit right into that VMware.
Okay, it means that vSphere or vDirector,
vSphere.
you can manage StorMagic.
Correct.
From the
Through
data center.
vCenter plugins, correct.
Okay.
Okay, so that's kind of our global slide, and then what I put together here, since I know that global is interesting and there were some brands there, we want to just give you a feel for some of our local end user customers as well as our channel partners. So our go-to-market globally is through channel. So everything we do is through channel, distribution, and VARs. We also have an OEM relationship with HPE. So HPE is a big partner of ours. We are on the global HPE price list. So all HPE sellers around the world, including all of their channel partners, have access to our storage technology when they sell HPE servers. So HPE is a big piece of it, but I'm sure if you stare at these names on the slide that you'll be familiar with some of the brands in terms of customers, as well as some very nice partners in the 4 countries that I think are represented in the room. Okay? And by the way, these slides, somehow they're going to make it into your folder. So where you'll get a digital copy of this here at the end of the day, and you'll also get a copy of the embargoed press release. So you'll see it. So these slides will be all in your packet.
What about your presence in France?
I'm American and I live in California, so I won't answer your question quite well, except I did talk to our French team and they provided this list of, those aren't our only customers in France. They thought those might be the most recognizable, and those are our best partners. Hermitage Solutions, Prianto is a distributor. I don't know if you know any of those names, but we're very close
Lyon.
with them. And
They
we
are
are,
in Lyon.
All right.
yeah,
Hermitage Solutions.
yeah. And we have, StorMagic is expanding as a company, so we're bringing on more and more people in the sales world, and we do have French-speaking sales and technical folks to help our partners in country.
Bruce, what number of people now, revenue and or profit, whatever you can or want to share?
We're private, so I can't give revenue out, but I'll say we're about.
I have to ask.
We're about 60 people, 60, 70 people is the range.
And the
we're at.
breakup of who does what?
In terms of, what are you asking?
Sales versus development?
In terms of count, the number of people? I don't know, it's probably 20 to 30 in sales, and the other half split between development, ops, and marketing.
Got it. That's fine. Yeah.
Any other questions about customers and partners?
Is that a typo down there?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I built the slide, which is the one, tell me?
Bazones.
Second to
In
last on the
the
right.
lower right corner.
Maybe.
He can quickly correct that
Oh,
before it goes
that's
into your
funny.
packet. It's
It's
fine.
not a German word, no?
Yes, I'm sure that should be an I, so thank you. Thank you.
Probably should have used an S as well at the end, but that's okay.
That's funny. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I won't spend a lot of time here because I'm sure everyone understands this, but it's good for us to just get on the same page on that. These are the problems that we hear from our customers at Edge, Robo, SMB sites, that they struggle with all of these things. Lots of sites to manage and install. Downtime is critical in that there's a lot of ways to put a single server in a convenience store, but if that server goes down, you're not processing any transactions. So uptime is very important for all of our customers. Obviously, budgets are always important. We're designed for no need for on-site support, so everything we do is get anyone to install hardware, power, Ethernet in, and then that's all you need at the remote site. Everything else can be done remotely. Security is an issue. I won't talk a lot about security today, but we do have encryption built into our storage product to help with physical data security. And then typically what we hear is on the over-engineered is a lot of our customers don't buy, I'll just say it, the big HCI solutions like Nutanix and SimpliVity and the new VMware foundations, because there's too much stuff there. They don't need all of those features. They don't need that heavy load of hardware to run it. They're looking for small, simple solutions for their small sites.
It's an interesting balance, Bruce, where somebody has the vision of we'll introduce everything into an edge site, do machine vision, do video capture, do all of these things. They need a data center in a warehouse somewhere, and then reality strikes and they come down to, okay, a single node, but we need some high availability. How can we get to a middle ground? We sit between those two things, and it depends on how wide you can cover, as it were, to solve customer problems. Does that help give some context?
That's good. I like to hit this because cloud gets so much attention, and it's not that we're the only vendor that thinks this way, but we hear this from our customers a lot, is we typically talk to customers that are doing this, which is they can't run everything in the cloud for one reason or another. There's always pressure from above, cloud first, cloud strategy, cloud, 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 but our customers are running applications on site. And the reasons vary, but they're kind of in priority order. Cloud can be very, very expensive to run applications and send data back and forth. Cloud can be unreliable because cloud services do go down, and internet connections aren't solid everywhere around the world. And we have customers that are in remote cities. We have customers that don't have good internet at every location. So Reliability of the internet is a big one. And performance. No matter how close you are to your nearest Amazon data center, you still have to send ones and zeros through fiber optic cables, and usually through some copper as well. There's latency, there's speed of light. And for super fast performance, a lot of them say, I have to run on site.
Also, speed of light is slower in copper cables.
Exactly.
Free space.
Exactly, right. And that's the point. So a lot of customers have made the decision they can't rely on the cloud for everything. And that makes us very happy because we have great low-cost solutions for them to do this.
On fiber, it depends the color of the light.
Okay, so again, we're still on our current products, and I'm trying to look at time. I want to make sure I don't babble too much on this. Okay, I don't have my phone. Babble. Oh, yeah, that's fine. We're okay. All right, so let me just give a quick overview of our current products. Everyone kind of gets their brain around what we do today, which is SVSAN is the name of the product. It runs as a virtual machine, and it's dependent on a hypervisor, typically VMware, because they have market dominance, or they had, and they're on their way down, but we can debate that later. So there needs to be a hypervisor, and we support VMware, Microsoft Hyper-V, or KVM, and we run as a guest VM, and then we virtualize the storage that's inside the server, and we mirror it to the other side to provide that high availability. And if this works, it should work. I can just, there's a quick little animation just to highlight a couple things. One is it's active-active. So all applications on both sides are always writing data to its local server, and we're the ones that synchronizes that data between the two servers. And if a server, then our witness, that's how we do the 2-node. Our witness is just checking for heartbeat. So it's not in the data path. And that's how we're able to do all of this magic, is that it's a very lightweight witness. A server fails, the VMs automatically move over to the server that survived. Our witness is controlling all of this. Mark will explain it more technically than that if you want to hear. And then when the failed server is fixed, brought back online, we resynchronize the data, and then the VMs move back over, simply put. And all of that happens automatically. And our customers absolutely love us for this because SVSAN just works. It runs in the background. Mark started to talk about we've been through power outages. We've been through sprinkler heads flooding a server, and our software just keeps things up and running. And if there is a power outage where everything goes down, one of the things we're really good at is when the servers come back up, it's been engineered to make sure it comes back up in a healthy state. So it's a very complicated world when you're dealing with storage mirroring, but we've done a really solid job in making sure it all works flawlessly.
The edge is not the data center. And just to talk Americans, one of the examples is a Humvee drove through one of the customer environments. So the edge is not the data center.
US military.
Is there another question?
Yes.
Oh, no.
My mind there.
That's okay. I'm sure it'll come back.
Yes, there's no glitch as the recovery is going on. I mean, do the users notice that servers failed and it's being resynced and things like that?
Depends on the scenario. It is VMware HA, or if they're using fault tolerance to handle the compute side of it is handled by the hypervisor.
Yeah.
On the storage side, it's just path failover. So if, for example, one of those systems had a critical storage failure, well, that's seamless, okay? Because that local appliance marks its storage failed and proxies the I/O to the other side.
Yeah.
But if it was then the compute that were to go down, i.e. a purple screen in VMware or something similar, that's a HA event. Or of course, if that VM was fault tolerant, protected. So it just depends on the scenario and what functionality they have from the hypervisor as well.
So they have to have some expert knowledge of setting of what they're getting, because I can imagine
It's
that
typical VMware users. So a lot of these enterprise environments are supported by third parties, be they TCS, be they Capgemini, things like that.
Okay.
Or they'll have in-house teams.
Well, you hope we know about.
It's
One
the
would hope,
same for
although from
all the
personal
storage.
experience.
It doesn't change. It's the same for all the storage. HA is HA.
Exactly.
I guess what's getting me is once you get seamless solutions, there are people that will buy a seamless solution and assume they didn't have to think about it. and often they're wrong.
It's one of those things that we have sort of battled over the years, is there are situations where customers don't even know that we're almost OEM'd into a solution. So we have customers that will sell their own product into an airport, for example, where we're providing the underlying infrastructure. We're critical to them being able to do their piece, and actually the end user, as the client, doesn't even know that we're there.
Which is bad for your market.
Exactly that. So, and you know, it's not until a renewal comes in or something really does go wrong that these things.
Or somebody decides to get rid of this software and didn't know what it did.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so that's a very high-level overview of our currently shipping product. It is super low cost, by the way. So we have, it's on another slide, but you asked our differentiation. One of it is we can provide a solution with 2 physical servers, our software, and a hypervisor for under $10,000 for the whole solution. It's a very attractive price point for a small site, edge, robo, SMB. And some of the vendors that you mentioned can't touch that price point. $10,000 for the whole solution. So it's very low cost, very simple, etc. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, so I'll just throw this up and see if there's any other points here to make about, this is SVSAN, simplifying storage at the edge. I think I've talked about most of this. Give me a second, see if there's anything up here I wanted to hit. Yeah, so that's how we talk about the product externally. These are our messages that we bring to market. Simple, customers just set and forget. As a matter of fact, I'll tell a very short story, which is a lot of times when a customer buys a 3-year support contract, towards the end of the 3 years, our renewal people are emailing and calling, and finally they get someone on the phone and they say, hey, your renewal's up, and they're like, who are you? Who's StorMagic? And we're like, yeah, you bought our software 3 years ago. And they go, oh yeah, I forgot, it's just running. They don't have to touch it. The point is they don't have to monitor, they don't have to use it. It just does its thing in the background. Set and forget, it just works.
I would phrase that as, you know, people talk about storage is boring. It's not, but it is, and you kind of want it to be because you just want it to do its job.
Yeah. But you must have the thing where you must know what you've got and where it's running. Otherwise, some new systems program
that comes into
will
that centralized
kill it.
management piece and everything else. Correct. I mean, again, when it comes to operational updates, VMware updates, things like that, they'll tend to update us when they do a VMware upgrade to keep things in compliance, pieces like that. So yes, there's that message. Reality for the proper people that are doing their regular maintenance and everything else is not quite to that extent, but you see what we're saying.
So the reason I included this slide is that this is an important part of our architecture, is the way that we do high availability. And this carries over into our new product as well, which is you only need 2 nodes, and we use this lightweight witness that I explained a few minutes ago. So because of that, customers only need 2 servers instead of 3, so there's a big CapEx savings that customers have because of the way we do the witness. And we make that witness, they can get it for free if they want to get the software and run it on anything they want. They can run it in a data center, they can run it on a Windows laptop if they want, they can run it on a Raspberry Pi. It's a very small piece of code, and it can support up to 1,000 clusters. So some other HCI storage vendors have remote witnesses, but they're usually in the data path, and it's usually 1-to-1, 1 witness for every cluster. And our witness does 1,000 clusters. As well, it only needs 9 kilobit network connectivity, 9 kilobit, because it's heartbeat only. It's not in the data path. And we can sustain up to 3,000 millisecond latency. So for those of you that know those numbers, it's a pretty impressive, robust way to have a remote witness to support 2 nodes. And we've got lots more details if you want to hear about it, but that's the
And
basis.
to understand well, it means that at the time I choose, the cluster or the servers send a ping to the witness.
Correct.
And I choose if it's every minute, every quarter, every hour.
It comes back to
I
that
choose.
3,000 milliseconds. 3 seconds that it's there, saying, hey, check in, I'm alive.
Oh,
This
3
is the
seconds.
ship. It's that 3 seconds piece. It's heart beating, but it's 9 kilobits timing.
No, I just asked for the frequency of it.
Sorry, I didn't hear or didn't listen. Did you guys write the witness or is it?
That's our IP. That cluster technology is our IP.
Thank you.
And all it's doing is checking for heartbeat.
Heartbeat and cluster state is how I would phrase it. So there's a concept of leadership with that mirroring piece to handle which is the right side for those critical scenarios that we referenced. So leadership and cluster state.
There's no sort of validation that a checksum hasn't changed or something like that.
It's not doing checksumming, but that's the reason that it can do UDP and sit behind network address translation and everything else. Obviously, if it misses a heartbeat, it's like just a retry, effectively. No, it's not checksumming that piece because they're also talking to each other at the same time.
And so it's so lightweight because of the limitations to 2 servers and take away a lot of complexity. You don't need the complexity.
Precisely. And then if you think, I mean, again, I'm into the realms, but the density that you can get in a pair of servers these days, if we start talking about, 64 core, even higher CPUs and everything else, it's more than enough for the typical use cases that we sit in.
So this is a slide that I was just kind of explaining. So this is the lightweight nature of our product. On the server side, it only requires 1 virtual CPU, very simple, and only 1 gigabyte of memory. Most other virtual SAN storage solutions are typically a full CPU and 16 or 32 gigabyte of memory, or even more. So we're very, very lightweight, and our customers love the fact that the hardware requirements for us are very, very low, and it saves them a lot of money. And there's the less than $10,000 per site. Okay, so I talked through this already. I'm going to skip through, but we support any server. We don't care what it is. x86 doesn't matter to us because we're dependent on the hypervisor itself.
We ride on the coattails of VMware at this point is how I would phrase it.
Right, right. And we support any of those three hypervisors that you see there. I'm going to wait for the photos. Can you ask Fred in a very nice way to not talk? It's like getting in my way. Okay. So there we go. So that was SV. Do you want to take another picture? Should I go back?
No, actually, I wanted to take a picture with you.
Oh, with me? Oh, sure.
Next to the
Very nice.
because I'm sure I can do some screenshot from the document.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so any questions about StorMagic or our currently shipping product before I move into the news, if you will?
Yeah, a good one. You've got the two appliances, I would say, servers, sorry. And but from the data, you store the data. It means that you move the data to the server, or you just have a registry of metadata that point to the data which are on the server on the retail shop, for example.
I would phrase it as they are a true synchronous block copy. It must complete to both before being acknowledged back. So we do have many stretched cluster use cases. However, that is LAN connectivity, minimum 1 gig, okay? Because it is asynchronous mirror. This is not an asynchronous technology. So it is the same data as far as the hypervisor is concerned. Okay? Is that
No, because most kind of solution could just have a registry of metadata that point where the data are. And in fact, they have just a copy somewhere. But in fact, the storage, it's more the storage of the metadata than just the data.
Mm-hmm. So again, this is block the whole way down. So this is all about block storage. Our team come from a block storage background. So it's as simple as it gets, and it's all about
but
messaging.
It means that I have the real data on your server.
Correct.
Exactly that. Okay.
Okay, so this is the real reason we're here today. I wanted to cover, our currently shipping products, but we're really excited about this. Yes, I'm in marketing, and Ben, I am also a product guy too. So
Well done.
So I run product and marketing. Mark is the real techie guy. He knows a lot more than I do. But the whole company is really excited about this because I don't need to explain to everyone in the room what's going on in the market with Broadcom. And we're seizing the opportunity to do something for our customers that they really want. So, yeah. So the name of the product is going to be, and again, this is going to be announced on June 11th, so we're under 2 weeks away. The name is SVHCI, to signify that it's a full HCI stack product. It is software only. We're not getting in the hardware business. So we're going to continue to partner with server vendors like HPE and others. And I'm going to talk all about the product here as we go through. And I would love for it to be interactive, so ask questions. I'll try not to get too deep too quickly. So I won't spend too much time on this, but I think everyone understands, but just to see if anyone disagrees. How's that? So VMware has had a dominant market position for hypervisor. Is it 85? Is it 95%? But it's a significant amount of the market. And Broadcom came in and really turned that on its head. So they are only focusing, they've taken the top 2,000 accounts direct. They canceled their partner program. They forced all of their partners to reapply, and maybe we'll let you into the new Broadcom program, which they have. They've let a lot of them back in. But it's very clear that their focus is not where we focus. It's a completely, they're focused on big accounts, cloud, data center, and they're really ignoring the SMB and the edge. And our customers and partners, that's where they are. So they've been very loud with us, like, help us do something here. They dramatically increased pricing, as everyone knows. There's different stories around the world. Is it 100% more? Is it 900% more? But they're increasing pricing for sure. And they've made things like vSAN not purchasable with just a hypervisor. So hopefully everyone knows that. In order to get vSAN now, you have to buy a foundation, which has a lot of stuff in it that the edge doesn't need.
And you have to pay by capacity now.
You have to pay by capacity.
Unless you are going to the ECF, that is another.
Correct. Yeah, they license foundation by the core and
capacity.
And capacity.
For
Right. So,
vSAN.
yeah, so it's very, very expensive. We talked about our partners. So we went out to the market, to our market, so our partners and our customers, and we surveyed them. And I've got our results on the next slide, and you'll see. So we've got some very hard data feedback of what they told us. And we just feel like it is the perfect time for us to transition from being a block virtual storage company that's dependent on Microsoft and VMware to now build our own hypervisor, build our own stack, and bring it to the market, including our enterprise-grade storage, which, you know, we can debate this if you'd like, because it's an opinion, I agree, but the storage component of an HCI stack is probably the hardest and most important part. Because you have to keep IOs, you have to make sure of high availability, and there are open source hypervisors like KVM, which is what we're going to use, to get access to hypervisor technology. I think both of you wanted to say something.
Yeah, there are some possible issues. Because it's the most fundamental part, you need to validate this part, validate the application to this, that mainly KVM can be somehow certified for some application, but if you have modified, you need to revalidate. Validate through the hardware, so you are software only, you already have an ACL for vSAN, now you have to consider also the ACL for computing. Is a little more complicated, so somehow OEM should be a way to distribute this. And then the software compatibility, for example, backup.
Yep.
Third-party software.
Correct. You, just in 1 minute, you described lots of conversations that we have internally as a company. So yes.
Yeah, are the same conversation that customers are facing when they thinking, how can I find an alternative to VMware? Because if you don't consider this, you cannot.
Right. Yeah. So the point said another way. Tell me if I've got your point right. Is VMware spends a lot of time with their HCL, make sure their hypervisor works with lots of server and components out there, and they've been doing it for 20, 30 years. So their HCL hardware compatibility list is quite long, and we're new to the market, and we understand this. So we have a strategy to build our hardware compatibility list over time. But one thing that we have a good hold on is our customers and our partners. They're asking us to do this, so we're asking them which servers should we test first. So we have an active list, and our first release will have at least 16 different server models on the list. VMware probably has 50, but we're going to start and we're going to make sure that the industry knows
But it's
these are-
better because, to take the example of Nissan, they start to make a huge ACL, and not all the HBR was working well.
We're being very careful.
So-
We're being very careful.
It's my
Chris, did you have a question?
Yeah, you mentioned SV-SAN as block storage.
SV-SAN is
twice.
block, yes.
You haven't mentioned this as block storage.
Yeah, so I'm going to get there. So this product, SVHCI, so our HCI stack, is taking our block storage, SV-SAN, literally as is. Same exact shipping version, which our customers love because they're so used to it. It's the same user interface. It's the same code. We've now added a KVM hypervisor and Open vSwitch for virtual networking into the stack. So the majority of the code has been shipping for over 10 years. So it gives us and our customers and our partners some confidence that this thing it's not brand new, and there's some confidence that we know what we're doing, we know how to make these things work. But yes, so Chris, that's a long answer to your question. It is still block storage at the storage layer.
So
I was just sniffing around wondering about fire and object.
Well, what I would
Not
say
yet.
to that as well is that this isn't running as a VSA. We mentioned some of those other products out there on the market today. This isn't a VM. The hypervisor lives inside alongside the storage stack. Okay,
It's
so
built
it's
in.
not running as an appliance. They're side by side, just to be clear. Okay, so as differentiators, that's one of the big ones.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. So I thought I'd keep going. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I mentioned this research that we did. We sent a very simple survey. I kept it short so we'd get high response rate, which we did, but we got over 300 responses from our existing customers and partners. And this was one of the questions we asked on the right-hand side. We explained the concept of this product to them. Would you be interested in a full stack HCI from StorMagic with these features? And please indicate your interest level. And only 2% said that they're planning to stay with VMware. 56% said they're investigating VMware alternatives. And 42% said, please get us the software as soon as you can to test. And that's why we're here today announcing a new product, is this kind of demand from our existing install base of customers and partners. I see the smoke, Ben. I know you're about to ask something.
I know, and
or
I'm just
say
trying
something
to,
brilliant.
I want to
one of
ask
the
the
two.
question correctly. So it's one thing for somebody to say, yeah, we're actively, please send us the beta and free trial. How many of those are actively looking across the board? And of those, do you have any sense of their preference towards using StorMagic? I mean, these numbers look great, and
We're getting
great for
there.
a marketing slide, right?
Well, it's not a marketing slide because it's real data, but I get your point. I get your point. But yeah, so listen, it's still we're in the middle of this now, right? So we're announcing a product, we're launching a product. We have approximately, it's under 5 customers today that are running alpha level code.
Okay.
And they're big customers. Most of them are big customers because their C-level people said, we're not doing business with VMware anymore, find an alternative. They begged us to send them alpha level code. We weren't ready, but like, don't worry, if it doesn't work, we just want to see how it's going. So it's, okay, here you go. Feedback has been very, very strong. They're very, very interested. But these are big companies that aren't going to say, oh, great, we're going to buy, because it's still alpha. So that's 5. The other thing I was going to tell you is out of these 300 people, we had 80 of them sign up to do a NDA info session. And we've been doing those over the last few months to get more detailed feedback. So Mark gets on and does a similar demo to what you're going to see today. We talk about the product. We show them what's in version 1. We show them what's coming down the road. And out of those 80, we said, who's ready to be on our beta list? And we have 20 more of those people installing now. So 20 more in the process. And as you'll read in the press release, when we announce on June 11th, we're announcing a global beta program. So we're going to let any customer apply. We're not going to say you'll definitely get it because we want to make sure about their hardware. We want to make sure they have the right hardware. But we're going to open this up to the world to say if you want to try our software, just fill out this form and hopefully we'll get selected. We're hoping to get a lot more customers that way as well. And just to steal the thunder here, so the announcement is coming June 11th. What the press release says is general availability, where we can take orders and take money, will be later this summer. I don't have an exact date, but it'll be later this summer. And we're going to use the beta program between now and then to get more of our customers kicking the tires, getting more feedback, tweaking the features, et cetera. So that's kind of what's happened. Hopefully that answers your question, Ben. That's where we are.
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Bruce,
Yes.
now, you told us previously that you were focused on small customers. Aren't you afraid now to go from small to big customers?
No, actually, that's a good question. So we're not afraid of big customers because as you saw on the logo slide, we have big customers, but we don't sell into the data center. All of those big logos were only in their remote sites. So that hasn't changed. But yeah, I'll tell you right now, Mark will back me up on this. If one of our big customers, I mean, our largest, by the way, we have a single customer who unfortunately they won't let me use their name, but they're a United States retailer, and we're in 6,200 stores. And each of them has 2 servers running our software. And so companies like that, they're not going to say, oh, I'm going to take this and run it in my data center. And we would say, not yet. Maybe someday. But for right now, we're happy with the remote small sites.
There's a lot more of those than there are data centers, just to point out as well.
Yes.
Scale computing is an alternative, isn't it? I think that's a full stack HCI
Correct.
system, of course.
Correct.
So you're talking to customers, of course, who are not using scale computing. So
Probably.
they're not thinking about scale computing as an alternative necessarily.
Probably. I mean, it could be.
They could be.
We run into scale computing here and there,
Yeah.
but most of what we run into is VMware. Most of our demand is VMware customers. Scale Computing is a great company. They have a great product. They're on the small side. So we don't run into their install base very often, right?
I doubt they've got a 6,200 site US customer.
I doubt it as well. I doubt it as well. And yeah, the quick thing about scale is because you were asking about differentiation, I'll just hit that one right now, which is they require 3 nodes on their cluster, and they're very limited on the hardware. They don't have an HCL concept. It's certain models of, I think it's Lenovo servers, right? So
That's their own appliance for edge.
right. So for us, think about this. It didn't come out of my mouth yet, but it will. This is a software solution that customers can run on their existing hardware, which is a nice thing for what's going on in the market with VMware. If they're running a VMware cluster, they don't have to buy new hardware to get StorMagic. They can just run it on what they have. And that's what a lot of them want to do.
Are you going to put in the migration program? I mean, idiot-proof migration thingy?
To go from VMware to us, that is in the plans
All right.
to do that. But for first, I'll just tell everyone, to get a product out to market quickly like we are, we had to be very focused on feature sets. So a fancy wizard-based conversion tool is coming down the road. It's not there from day one, but Mark and his team know how to help customers take existing VMs, convert them into ISOs, if I got that right, and upload them into our product.
So they would essentially have to have net new hardware to at least one or a couple of servers to
You can do it staggered. So if they've got
okay.
a pair, for example, you can set a single,
Yep.
come in, and
Fair
then
enough.
add your cluster in
Okay.
later on.
So you keep your hardware.
A lot of the other technologies that are out there, as you say, the way the cluster is built, the cluster has to be up before you can do stuff. We're coming at this from our existing experience base, which is absolutely that sort of in-place retrofit, single node, swap a node, a server's died. Again, that edge messaging, sometimes we don't go into the detail enough, but we're designing the thing to be able to come and handle those scenarios.
All right, I think I covered everything here. Any other questions about the background? And then we'll get into the product. So, as you'll see in the press release, that This doesn't match exactly, but it's close. The headline is generally the most cost-effective HCI solution for the edge. And the subhead is save up to 62% versus VMware on software alone. 62%. And I feel like that is a very conservative estimate on what customers can save.
Will you have a TCO tool to prove this? Or
Are you looking for a job in marketing, Ben? Is that what's going on here?
No, I'm just looking for consulting services. You want to sign up now? It's just
Yeah, so yeah, we've got all sorts of ideas like that about tools to help customers figure all this
no,
out.
I mean,
but
it's just simply, you're going to put out 62%. How are you going to demonstrate the 62%?
Yes. So the way we'll demonstrate it, I can explain it to everyone here, but if you look at, because VMware made their pricing public.
I'm just going to stop you for a second. I'm going to make it even easier.
Okay.
When you put out the press release, you're going to put that number up.
Yes.
Will there be something that
Yes.
somebody can download and say, look, this is how we got to 62%?
In the press release, I wrote a nice little paragraph
Yep.
explaining it.
That's all I care about.
It's in there.
Okay.
It's in there. So if
Okay.
you want me to, but the high level is, depending on the configuration,
Of course. Yeah.
the smallest 2 terabyte solution for a 3-year subscription, I believe, we are 21% less expensive. For a 48 terabyte solution for 5 years, we're 62% less. So there you go. It's a range, right? But it's, yeah.
And they're dreadful numbers. Nobody will be persuaded.
No one will be, hopefully you're kidding. But yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
myself.
No, it's impressive stuff. And that's just software. That doesn't include the extra server they don't need to buy, right? It's a really solid value.
I'd calculate that number in there.
I know. I've been thinking about how to
I
do
think
that.
you should. I mean, look, if it's a press release, right? For a brand new product, who cares what the number actually is?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good feedback.
Huh? Well, Chris was different person asking that and making the comment, right? We've never agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, I would argue throw it in there.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to count. We all know it's just a number, whether you pull it out of the air or not.
That was the polite way of saying
Yes, I have thinking about it twice. Yeah, I definitely would say that. And then what about Nutanix? I mean, you're going to compare against VMware, fair enough. That's
why
your
not
biggest,
Nutanix?
right?
The reason is we don't run into Nutanix that much. Believe it or not, they have. I think they have a robo thing. We just don't run into. This is who we run into. VMware is the one that's out there loud in the edge.
Agreed.
So we don't run into Nutanix much, but yes, we could do. And then also the other thing I'll say is Nutanix isn't very crisp publicly about their pricing. We got lucky that VMware published their price list. So we have public
there are
information.
ways and means around getting around that,
Okay.
but I mean that part actually can be figured out. But the reason I suggest why not about Nutanix is because if somebody's going to think about moving from VMware,
That's a good
they
point.
are almost definitely going to at least ask the question.
That's a good point.
But you cannot have a two-node cluster with Nutanix.
And that's
right.
fine.
Right.
And maybe
then
that's
you compare to a 3-node.
Exactly.
Three node, but
Right.
still, 3 node is the minimum. If
Yeah.
you
And that
make
would be the most
maintenance
expensive.
on one of these and you lose one disk in another, you lose your data.
And this is how HP have done so very well with DHCI and all of this
E-
messaging.
exactly.
And taking it
Reasonable
back
is
to, because
forward.
hyperconverged has become
And that's
a,
why when somebody's going to move away from VMware, they are going to, at the very least, look at, well, what the next one is Nutanix. Like it,
Yeah, that's fair.
agree with it or not,
Yep.
then you can also say, hey, actually, look at it all you like, but.
What will be your license model for this product?
Yeah, it's going to be. I've got a. Yeah, I'll just. So it's a subscription license.
Yes, but your SVSAN is by capacity.
Yeah, it'll
So
be.
this,
It'll be capacity as well. So
okay.
that the bundles, the limits we have. Our license options are 2 terabyte is the smallest,
Yeah.
and then we do 6, 12, 24, and 48, and then we have an unlimited as well.
But now there is also computing, so you don't consider the cost of computing just.
We do. So what we've done is down below one level. When if I was talking to you as a customer, when you're ready to order, you're going to place an order for 2 things. One is the virtualization platform,
Okay.
and there's going to be a 1, 3, and 5 year. And the I think I'm going to get this close. It's about $1,000 per year for a 1-year subscription, approximately, for the platform side.
Per node.
Per node. Everything's per node. Per node. And the 2 terabyte storage license is about another 1,000. So our total price point for a 1-year subscription for the platform and the smallest storage is $2,049. And that is in the slides. I'm going to get to it. But
Have you thought about this?
Giving it
came to
away?
me.
No.
No. Have you thought about it just came to my head. Licensing by the number of U's.
Number of what?
Rack units.
Oh, rack units.
It doesn't matter how much storage you got in there because there's only limited numbers in one U that you can put.
Well, the thing is, a lot of our customers are small on the capacity side, particularly the large edge ones that have 1,000 sites. They only need 2 6 terabytes, but they're really important 6 terabytes.
And add the two together and make one price. Why make them order 2 things?
You're referencing about use, just to, again, some visibility. Some of them are tower servers, even. Some of them on my demo systems are little cartridge.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can look at it from measure the length of something. It's to make it a little differentiated, number one, and I mean, I'm not saying this is the be all and end all, but a little differentiated, and most importantly, the single line.
Yeah, we've toyed around internally with different ways of pricing.
Okay.
We've decided to keep it this way for now, and let's just let the market respond and see how it goes. But yeah, we're pretty excited about a $2,000 price point for a full stack solution. And as you can see from the picture here, when they buy StorMagic SVHCI, they get all of the different components all in one code base, like Mark was saying. We're no longer running as a VM. It's all built together.
Okay, about the management, are you going to build a central management? Because
I knew I could ask this question.
Because actually they are using vCenter as a central management.
So about 6 months ago or 9 months ago now, we launched our first centralized management product for SVSAN. That's called Edge Control. And our large customers use that to manage lots of sites. So that is a shipping product. Support for this product, SVHCI, into Edge Control is coming in the future. I can't tell you exactly when, but it is in the plan, for sure.
If you think about 6,200 sites, it has to be. And we've got the grounding with Edge Control and the knowledge to be able to do it. As you say, everybody is just asking us to be VMware tomorrow. We'll get there when we...
Yeah, like Mark said, VMware's been doing this for decades. We need a little time to get there. But I will say, I think we're doing this pragmatically. We're not trying to go after everyone at once. We know some customers are going to say, I'm not ready until you have centralized management. Okay, that's fine, but it's coming. But there is a good set of customers. During these sessions, by the way, I forgot to mention, during these sessions that we had with 80 people, we asked them specifically what the feature set that we're going to ship in beta and GA this summer, would you buy it and run it in production? And we got about a 50% yes. We got 50% that said, nope, I'm going to wait for a future release because I need Edge Control or I need something else. So we're not trying to do everything at once, but we didn't want to wait. Why wait? The market is ready. We're going to go get as many as we can now, and we're going to be patient, and we'll grow functionality over time.
I would also message it as in these edge environments, when we do something, we want to do it well, rather than try and do everything badly.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Any other questions on this slide? All right, Mark. I think I'm going to do one more, and then let's get the demo, and then we can come back and do more. Because let's get out of slide land. But I'll give the high level on the features here. So this covers all of the features that we have, and then there's slides on each of these. If we get time later, I can explain it more. But high level, what this is all about is that it's a purpose-built full stack solution for our edge and edge-like environments. Edge-like is SMB, it's Robo, whatever you want to call it, enterprise edge. We've designed it to be right-sized for their needs. Do you want me in the picture or out? Okay, no problem. I'm not that good looking, I guess. So we've designed it for our customers, for that space. It's right-sized. It doesn't have every single feature that VMware vSphere has, and it doesn't need it because there's too much stuff in there. We've made it radically simple. It installs, Mark, I've been saying about an hour, from bare metal to running VMs, about an hour.
For a pair, and yeah.
For a pair of servers. So it's very simple, yeah.
On the side, I've got the two servers with the, okay. Could I have, because maybe I've got a warehouse in my store. Do I need to have one solution in my warehouse and other one, or I could have a kind of stack of 2 nodes or 4 nodes to manage the warehouse and the store at the same site? Or I need to have 1 and 1?
I would just make my 2 pairs denser with more compute and more storage in to be able to handle both the warehouse and the store workload.
Okay.
In your scenario.
But I say on one cluster, there is no
You
possibility
don't need
to cluster
you,
both.
you could run, there's no possibility to cluster the 2 together.
In fact, it was the point of my
The
question.
1.0 is a 2-node start point with a future feature set of being able to get to a more data center-like focus of 3 and 4 and 5. But
So a
again,
2-node cluster.
No,
2-node.
I stay on the SMB vision,
Yep.
but sometimes I could have more than 6 or 10.
But you
or
can have multiple 2-node clusters.
Correct.
There's no reason you
Yeah,
can't
for
do that.
you could separate them, but I would make them bigger and accommodate both to save on hardware and licensing cost. And to give an example of a pair, one would be a hospital with 600 streaming video cameras into some virtualized VMS software, as an example. That's 400 terabytes of SVSAN and VMware storage today. To go to can absolutely accommodate some bigger environments.
Will you have some kind of multi-site clustering?
Multi-site clustering.
I think you said version 1 is 2-node only.
So 2-node only, but you could do a stretched cluster for things like SCADA systems is when that tends to crop up, is one of the examples, or schools or airports or things like that.
So you can put them in different sites.
Could also have a pair and a pair, but we wouldn't have any visibility into the site failover. You'd effectively be doing something application side, database replication, whatever you were doing inside your VM between the 2, if you wanted to, with 1.0. Futures is futures. 1.0 is small, silly, slimline feature set. So
Last point, of course, I've got my
Yep.
2 nodes, I've got the witness. So witness is, but where is the control plane?
the control plane.
It
By
means
that you mean
yeah,
management.
Yeah, because
So it's going to be a per
if I don't have
cluster.
vSphere or whatever, I have just only your solutions.
Why don't I show everybody?
Where
in
is the
just a second?
console?
Yeah.
He'll show it to you.
Let me
He'll
show
it to you. He's gonna
Let's
show
get
it to you.
real in a minute.
Maybe I don't think you told us this. Is it just x86 only?
Yes.
or-
x86, AMD or Intel. Yep.
You want us to piss you on?
Hmm?
You think ARM's going to be
I
a
just
thing?
want to play it on my Pi. I keep asking people.
There we
I
go.
got a bunch of sitting there doing nothing.
It's still a fling. It's still a fling with VMware. I have. Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about being dependable, both the product, because it has SVSAN at the core, which has been shipping for a long time, and the way that StorMagic supports our customers. So the foundation of SVHCI is code that's been shipping, like I said, for over a decade, and it's using KVM, which is a pretty well-distributed, well-supported hypervisor. And we've made it our own, we've customized it, but it's still core KVM. Just like SVSAN, it is designed for 100% uptime. So that's
But
again
for the storage.
storage.
Because the VM will be handled with each solution. VM will start, so it's not
Yes.
100%. You should specify for the storage part.
Okay, so Mark's going to show. Mark, are you going to show? the live
I'll
demo?
show a HA failover, but it's still not, to his point, 100% is 100%. We're getting into semantics, but
Right.
designed for is targeted. You know, it's working towards that high availability. You know, the reality we don't know with most of our customer base. We sell a software license. A bunch of them may be on 10 nines, 20 nines, for all I know,
Yeah.
but we sell a software license. So I guess the message there is we're working towards it being, but again, it's.
I think it's a great way of saying that,
Yeah.
by the way,
Yeah.
without getting legally into trouble.
Right. Fully supported by StorMagic. We know there are other hypervisors out there. Our customers are looking at running their own KVM and buying, using SVSAN and other, like there's ways of building your own solution, but then support is a nightmare. And there are other hypervisors out there that don't have enterprise level support. So we're standing behind the whole stack, all of it, KVM, hypervisor, everything with Mark run support. So with Mark's 24/7 support team.
What's the beeper number?
All included. Like in that 2,049 price includes 24/7 support.
So support will be prepared for this amount of requests, because now you can have requests on how can I configure the hardware,
Only two people are going to buy it.
the VM.
Only two people.
Okay. Yeah, of course you can scale, but you need also new capability, new skills.
Yes and no. I mean, from that, maybe we're making more of it, and maybe you're right. But the team have been working in VMware for 15 years, and it's familiar at least. It's not rocket, it's not completely new.
Yeah. You're going to be able to go into existing VMware sites and interoperate with them with no problem because you've been doing it already.
That's the idea. We'll see how reality works out.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, when we say interoperate, from our support skill set, yeah, absolutely. They're VCP certified, they know their stuff. But it's all about, I'd say our biggest hurdle is going to be convincing people away from what they know, convincing people away, making that transition as easy as possible.
Yeah, I'll just say that we used to have this thing when we're competing against others that have KVM-like hypervisors. And the pitch was, well, the IT teams used to VMware, they have to learn a new tool now, which is true. But 7 years ago, that worked really well. But now, we've talked about this, VMware customers are ready to leave. They don't need convincing. They're like, we're ready to learn a new tool. It's okay, because we can't afford to go with VMware anymore. So anyway,
or at least
the time is right, is my point.
And again, for the data center, maybe they're able to, but when there's 10 VMs, 20 VMs out there in some edge site, even 50 VMs, it becomes a much heavier lift for them to justify up to C-level execs now to stay with VMware, so they're open to the idea of alternatives at this point.
And then the last one is about cost-effective reducing. And to your point, Ben, we are separating them out, and in theory we can put these together, but in general, up to 62% savings on the software side, at least 33% on the hardware side, because you only need 2 nodes, and significantly reduced operations costs, because you're going to see Mark do a demo, and you'll see how easy it is. Now, he won't be able to do an install today, but it is quite easy to install. Yes.
Real quick point, I would add support into that. You want to talk about that you're fully supported?
Yeah.
That number should include all 3 things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that big thing about open source versus proprietary.
Good
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it comes or saves 33% on hardware, and you get Mark to come with it.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Come to your house.
Mark is packaged with it.
Packaged with it.
Look at
I'll
all
sit
this-
there by the side of them.
Look at all the marketing advice I'm getting from Ben for free. I don't have to pay
I'm
him.
sending you a bill. I know where you live.
Okay, I've got more slides that covers the stuff in the blue, but I think I've covered it enough to get Mark up here to do a demo. So yeah, so we have a complete channel model. I don't know, Fred, if you were seeing early on, I did show them in France, Italy, Germany, and UK. I showed that slide of our partners and our distributors and some of our customers. So everything we do is through channel, whether it's OEM with HPE. I'll tell you that the HPE OEM relationship is very lucrative for us, particularly in Europe. Germany is probably our second biggest, not probably, it is our second biggest country after the US. So we do a lot of business, particularly with HPE in Germany. But everything we do is with either HPE as an OEM partner or a VAR through distribution in all of the countries that you guys write for. And as a side note, the slide with the names of the partners will be in the deck. And if there's questions for me or others, we can connect you with the right people at those companies to talk as well. Because we have some very happy partners. And the ones on the list, a lot of them are the ones that saying, hurry up, get us this solution, because we want to start selling.
Or because as partners, they're getting the requests as well. They're getting hit for what can we do?
Yeah. You're ready to go.
I think I'm ready to go.
Okay. I'm impressed. All right.
So guys, I'm going to rely on Bruce to slow me down because I tend to get excitable with this stuff. Ask questions and interrupt me, and if I'm going too fast or if you want me to dig in a bit further, then please do, okay? I'm going to start, and forgive me where Bruce has done something similar as a journey, with where we are today with SVSAN. And what I have up on the screen is effectively one of our robo customers. It's a centralized vCenter It's our plug-in VM that provides then, the dashboard view. We have a plug-in to provide then, storage appliance deployment and management and everything else. And fundamentally, that vCenter typically lives up in the data center, with the witness also residing in the data center, and we're talking about 2 on-prem nodes. Okay? Now, my other use case is more of the cluster in a box, where all of that lives on top of the cluster for those sort of SMB. Perfectly fine by me, so long as the witness is somewhere else, and per that piece about Raspberry Pi or Aruba Switch or on a QNAP or wherever you want to put it. Okay? So this is today, and this is my storage appliance. Now, I'll say lovingly worked with. There are distinct similarities with our approaches over the years to pay something similar here. This is your ESXi console view that you can come in and do some basic management tasks within our appliance. Again, very similar sorts of concepts. I'd actually say this thing's slightly more feature-rich than a VMware. You can set licensing through here. You can't on a VMware host. But there is a Curses console on the machine. This is my VSA today. It is a closed appliance. It is a standard Linux kernel inside there, and it runs our proprietary storage application. We present up block storage over iSCSI, and it is the IP within there is our piece of it, and we then support that whole VM, as it were. Now, the magic behind all of that everybody's been quizzing on is the cluster, is the witness and the 2 sides of the mirror. It's the data clustering and leadership and all of the stuff. That's the bit that has enabled us to have all of these wins and all of these customers that we have out there. Okay? My point with all of this is we've extended this. We haven't invented something completely new. Okay? So in this world, in reality, what I have is a storage cluster within SVSAN and a VMware cluster on the compute side working together side by side, but they're not talking to each other. They're 2 independent vendors. They're not integrated together, but us and VMware work very, very well together. SVSAN and Hyper-V works very, very well together. You get into a KVM world, open source KVM, and you have 5, 6, 10 different clustering technologies that you can work with that each introduce their own caveats, their own requirements. 3-node, quorum, QNet device, all these different things. Oh, you can run that in production. You can't run that in production. It's Arma Linux. It's Debian Linux. I need to support this. Who can I phone? Oh, I'll phone some third party, and you're in a whole different world. So this is a model rather than open source. No, we own it. It's our closed appliance. Why there are benefits to that is, again, for the edge, it's about attack surface, it's about security, it's about supportability. So,
did you say the graphical interface was sort of down the line?
Yes.
Yes. Because I was just thinking that the sooner the graphical interface arrives, it gives people a message that this is something new and better than VMware, even if all it is cosmetic change.
I mean, again, as Bruce has said, VMware have been doing this for a long time. I think where I would like us to be is a more targeted, more focused VMware, a stripped down VMware targeted at our use case. And no, we're not going to be able to do everything that they can in any time soon, but as you'll see, and there is a graphical user interface of some form, it's just not as feature-rich as a vCenter. Okay, so bear with, and I will show.
I think the GUI it's nice, but at the end of the day, it's an appliance.
Is the other piece is the set and forget argument.
Yes,
you set it up once,
it's like how many times you look at your BIOS settings.
That's true. So that's where we are today. Now referencing about centralized management. So everything within VMware, and we've been doing this for a long time with the the Flex plugin, we had a C# plugin, then the HTML5 plugin. We've been working in this space for a long time, but it was very VMware focused. As Bruce referenced, what we did introduce was this thing that we call edge control.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring this up is to show, look, we have the experience base to be able to develop something that looks nice, that gives you the information you need. Now again, for 1.0, it will not do SVHCI, but I'm at least showing that there's a grounding there to work from.
To get back to my question,
please.
Where is it?
Where is this piece of it?
No,
This-
edge control. Where is it?
Edge control runs as an on-prem orchestrator, so there is an on-prem VM, and then this piece is in the cloud. Okay, so this is
a cloud product.
Cloud
That's why
serverless tech.
I spoke about a control plane. Okay, you've got a
Control-
control plane
Perfect.
in the cloud.
Forgive me, I didn't understand the
Thank
question.
you.
That's all. Now, again, bearing in mind customer base and focus, will this need to transition to an on-prem solution? That there's all of these different things for us to determine, and again, that's why it's not there for 1.0, but this is at least to demonstrate.
We have a path to getting the centralized manager.
Yeah. That we have a bunch of ground. Okay, so that one is my VSA, and forgive me for one PowerPoint slide. What I'll now show is my demo hardware. The systems I'm running on, and forgive me, I want to show you some context, is these here. Now, this is some HP, they're called edge lines, so it's all temperature tolerant, it's all everything else, but the point is small slim lines. So on that HCL, it's going to be DL360, DL380, whatever else, but to show small, okay? We're qualifying some Simply Nook devices to show how small we can go that you could chewing gum under a desk, for example. Now this is my previous world, where I've got an appliance VM on top of a hypervisor. I have this exact same hardware, where rather than running on a hypervisor, what I have, as I come back to my real world, is that same server, that same little model, with my software running on the hardware. So what we've done with this is integrate CEMU KVM, integrate that hypervisor inside our stack, so it's still our supported intellectual property, integrate Open vSwitch, and provide then a solution that we can then support. So it's a more vSAN-like world versus a Nutanix where it's a CVM.
It's still a hypervisor, isn't it?
It's still a hypervisor, but rather than come up with something different, as I say, it's integrating that. And we do what we do where we give back to the community when it comes to open source edits and everything else. We're very diligent on all of that with our background. Now you can see within there I have some additional options in the form of virtual switches and port groups, if you caught it. But that is my world as far as the hypervisor stack. It is there running on the hardware. And this is my interface. So we're asking about management interfaces for 1.0. Think of this akin to your ESXi host client. So there is no vCenter. It's like a per cluster management with a web interface that you could go to either node as a per cluster management. So my workflow is effectively take the ISO, connect to the ILO, install the software, configure up my networking. Again, that piece about it being a VMware-like experience. Create your virtual switch, we can team mix together. We can have our sort of different bond modes and everything else to give some NIC resiliency. We have interfaces that I would say are akin to a VM kernel port to be able to control where our infrastructure, sort of SAN and live migrate traffic is going versus management. And then we have our port groups, which is effectively then enabling the microsegmentation, the VLAN tagging that all of our environments are going to need to be able to do POS versus database versus whatever. Okay, so again, set your access mode and configure up your VLAN. Next step is to effectively cluster them together. So again, the two pairs and the witness, that witness shareable, 1 to 1,000 plus, et cetera, et cetera.
So I think I'm stating the obvious, but this is a live demo. So this is actually running systems. And those, just to clarify, Mark, that edge line 1 and edge line 2, those are the two physical servers.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Now,
so far there's nothing here that's overly extraordinary, right? Which is great, which is what you want. Is there a way, and maybe I'm just fast forwarding this, is there a way for your 6,200 stores to take a script, whatever you want to call it, and just blow it out there?
so that 6,200 customer with VMware
Well, not necessarily that
was
one, but
deploying 250 a week with us.
Okay.
So that was automation with VMware with scripts.
Okay.
Absolutely, we can come along and reproduce that level of functionality with this. It's just that before it was doing some VMware configuration SVSAN, now it's doing just this.
So Ansible or something to that effect? Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be specific. Something like that-ish.
So for 1.0,
Yeah.
any of that scripting work is going to be done in-house. We're not publishing the API
In-house
to,
to
different,
you
to
or-
us as
okay,
professional
okay,
services.
understood.
Okay?
Over time, we'll publish APIs, but for right now, Mark's team will handle it.
But it means also that you will automate all this kind of thing in the future.
Yes, that would be with that published API, there will then be examples that with Ansible and everybody else, you can do it at scale, correct. Okay. So we have our two nodes, we have our cluster, as it were. And my emphasis here is this is the StorMagic cluster. There's now no longer two, there's just us. And that becomes really important when it comes to VM failover. Now, being that this is based from SVSAN, we inherit the ability to consume hardware RAID, do software RAID, consume SSD, HDD, NVMe. We can do our eventing. We're an on-prem solution that we can alert out to syslog, to whatever monitoring tools they're using. We can do caching. We can do data at rest encryption. We inherit a bunch of that stuff from the fact that we're already playing in that storage world. But the extra piece then is configuring up your virtual machines. So within here, we can upload a disk image, which would be your Ubuntu ISO, your Windows ISO to install a fresh VM, or alternatively, of course, transitioning you from a VMware, take that VMDK, you're going to do a CAMU convert over to a raw disk image, upload that in, attach it to a VM. So it's not as streamlined as it can be. We want to make it better, but it is reasonably as a process.
Yeah.
It's certainly doable.
Are you thinking of producing a cheat sheet so that if you do this in VM, then this is how you do it in StorMagic, or is it so similar that you've got no need to do that?
I don't think it's a bad bit of feedback to think about.
Right.
I haven't considered it, but he's there. So yeah, no, not a bad shout. Thank you. So provisioning a VM, straightforward stuff. Select your operating system. Protected is the key piece. Now we don't have true DRS-like functionality. This is an ability to set preferred host such that if you migrate one, it'll migrate back. As far as upgrades, it's just an upgrade image that gets pushed, so non-disruptive upgrade. So per that piece, as we release updates, it's non-disruptive to the customer. Migrate the VMs, upgrade one node, migrate the VMs, upgrade the other node. Nice and straightforward. And then, so live migrate and HA are the key focus areas. Now what I want to do is if I come over to this one here and open up my console, bearing in mind again I'm VPN to who knows where. If I log in, don't ever try and type a password under pressure. Right, there is the IP of the VM, 10.10.194.11. And what I'm just going to set up, what I already have here, is a ping to that machine.
And this is which server, Mark?
So this is running, this is this Ubuntu demo VM, and it's running on Edgeline 1 right now. So per the questions earlier.
So I've seen this before. So Edgeline 1 is just pinging a server somewhere.
No, so my client is pinging the VM,
Okay.
and it's running on Edgeline 1, that I'm then going to kill as a hard failover. Okay? So per my previous comment, storage failures, things like that, different scenario. What this is about is a hard reset of one of those
And is
servers.
Edgeline 1 mirroring to Edgeline 2?
Correct.
So you're using mirrored storage
Ooh, yeah,
as the
thank
storage.
you.
Right.
So the key, one of the other differentiators, if we think in my VMware world as block storage, I sat behind a VMFS, I sat behind a file system. Now, that has its benefits. For us, however, it meant that we were always, stuck when it comes to things like snapshots, because it was an all or nothing, and it was crash consistent. Think of the pool as your VMFS. One of the differentiators here is that the VM disk is my disk. So it's VMs in disk. Other than the OS file system, it's then blocked the whole way down. So it's closer to the hardware, so more performant and everything else. But what that means is, and again, let Bruce dig into this further, when we do introduce snapshot, because it's not 1.0, that's going to be a fast follow, is that we'll be able to do an application consistent per disk snapshot.
Per disk being with disk here, not
Correct.
Physical disk.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly that, logical disk. So, per that piece, if I come in here, then let's do our HA failover. This is my little bit of magic. So if I'm going to do a press and hold here, we'll see, there it goes, and boom. So it's now gone. Now the bit that I want you to focus on, if I come over here, I should have this page loaded, we'll see my ping start to drop here, exactly as expected. Now again, this is my personal experience, maybe yours is different. In a Hyper-V world, a VM failover time is typically about 4 minutes. In a VMware world, I've seen about 2.5 minutes. You can get less, but that's the sort of typical. This already says, Edgeline 2, I didn't quite catch the flick, but it's already failing over. And again, if I can get there quick enough, if I come back to my ping, I lost 6 packets. Now that's a blank OS. There's application restart time, there's everything else on there, but that is a live HA demo to show how quick this thing is. It does something and it does it well, and it's all about that fast failover time in that instance to get the customer back up and running and able to do what they need to do.
It's pretty straightforward. It's not, I mean, there's not a whole lot of magic here. I mean, in the sense, no, I'm sorry. I had to pull that one. In the sense that, I mean, you're creating this very simple scenario.
Right.
And making it easy.
That's what our customers are asking for.
Right.
And just to make sure everyone followed that, when he shut that server down, that VM restarted on the surviving server in about 20-something seconds.
Less than 20 seconds, I would argue.
Your time is almost up. You're okay for a couple more.
I got a question because, of course, I get back to the example of the store. I'm a guy in the store. I'm not an IT guy. All that I want is that storing the data of my point of sale. I know the name of the application of my point of sale. I don't know the name of the VM. I don't know the name of whatever. How can I do that?
You wouldn't, because you're in the store. It's somebody else's problem.
Yeah, there's no IT people.
You'd have the store manager's doing his thing. He's removed from it. Everything else is remote supportable over ILO, over web pages, over VPNs.
Yeah, but if I'm alone in my etc., or the admin on the cloud is not here, how I do? How I can configure? Because I know just the name of the application. I don't mind the VMs.
It's either well, they're not going to. A store manager isn't going to have access to this layer. I would propose.
Oh,
this is infrastructure. This is the
IT.
hardware sits out there at the back.
it's not in the data center, but it's not even in the store. It's somewhere in the cloud, and I need to have an IT guy to do that.
No, sorry. This is 2 systems in a store that are sitting there running those applications. The store manager doesn't really touch those. As far as hardware
But
support,
who touched
they'll
this
get.
where?
Well, then they'd get a HP rep to come in and do a drive swap or do a whatever from a hardware side of things. And then typically everything at this layer would be supported by some remote IT team, similar as they are today, be that a third party, be that in-house, be that as a support team that's administering the remote infrastructure.
Will it be StorMagic?
No, so we don't do a managed service. Is this something that we could pursue with this model in future and with the likes of Edge Control? Yes. No, we don't do it today. Okay.
That's
So
our
it's,
partners. That's what our partners do.
and that's the value proper. You know, it's the integrator that owns that, or it's the Capgeminis and the.
So, why would I buy this over Proxmox, for example? You saw that one coming, right?
I could answer that. Mark can too. I would
Big
say,
one.
yeah, no, it's fine. Couple things about Proxmox is they are complete open source, as you know. Their storage layer is typically Ceph, which is quite complicated. And from what I understand, you need to be quite experienced to get it up and running. And it's not performant until you get even beyond 3 nodes.
It's just not performant, but that's
Right.
secondary at that point, yeah.
The next thing is it hasn't been hardened and tested by thousands of customers for 100% uptime reliability like SVSAN has. It hasn't been, I read all the same blogs and community forums that you do. So it's just not enterprise grade yet. And lastly, they don't have 24/7 support.
That I'll give you, but from you're talking about a robot, like your small site, I've run Proxmox before. It just works. Yes, the underlying, it's not always been Ceph. I don't know why they went there to begin with, but not dissimilar in nature. And for some of your robo or very small sites,
They don't have a 2-node solution. They don't have a 2-node.
They have the QNet device
yes,
that can be
you're correct.
run
thank
out
you.
of
Yes.
production.